probably never be heavyweight champion of the world, but if I can beat this man to my left, people will say you are a top heavyweight, and that is all I want. So this is my world title fight Saturday. This is it for me.
This fight. What happens if Junaid Bostan doesn't run on Saturday night?
Then he will get chopped down like a tree. We won't chop the top, we will chop the bottom so the head falls with it. You can't, look, I can assure you, I know your game plan, right? You're going to dance, you're going to run.
So the ARSLANBEK MAKHMUDOV versus David Allen press conference just took place. Yes, this is a Saturday night fight going down on the zone between two heavyweights for the WBA Intercontinental Heavyweight title. In two heavyweights that absolutely are fighting for everything, fighting to keep their careers progressing in the white ray, okay? But in my opinion, at the press conference, what really stole the show was the co-main event, Junaid Bostan versus Bilal Fawaz. Why this fight is so goddamn interesting, you know, it's a 10-0 Junaid Bostan, a young prospect signed by Matchroom Boxing, versus Bilal Fawaz. If you have never heard of Bilal Fawaz or heard of the story, the 9-1-1 fighter, let me tell you guys something, my friends. He was a subject of international trafficking. Bilal Fawaz was born in Nigeria with his mother and his dad, who he said beat the crap out of him growing up. Him growing up inside that house, he was getting beaten by his mom every single day. All right, and then at 8 years old, Bilal Fawaz's father actually takes him away from his mother and gives him to his brother, the uncle of Fawaz. So there you go. The dad just gives it to his brother. Bilal Fawaz is taken to another location, and all the way up until 14 is basically a slave for his uncle and doing every single thing that his uncle says to do, okay? Now at 14 years old, Bilal Fawaz's uncle finally tells him, you know what? I'm taking you back to your father. You're going to meet your dad for the first time again in London, England. And here is Bilal Fawaz, excited as hell, excited to see his father. On his way to London, England, he gets dropped off by his uncle into a large house. And his dad never shows up. His dad never shows up, dude. Just Bilal Fawaz was actually a slave in this house, listening to every single thing that those men said, not able to leave his house, not able to go nowhere, couldn't even go to school. Nobody even knew that this kid was in London, England, or who his parents are, or what was going on. He was a subject of international trafficking, right? He talks about at 15, finally, he decided to run away. And he never turned around. He says he opened that door, he started running out that house, and he never turned back. And a man who fell to his knees right when he couldn't stop running no more, he ran so far that he didn't even know how to get back. He said he fell to his knees and was crying, and somebody took him. And then he had to go live in an apartment for a couple years where it was just children who were part of this trafficking, kids who were taken away from their parents, who don't know where the parents are, right? Then he finally finds boxing, man. And long short story, here he is again, who's taken on Junaid Bostan. And this is just an absolutely great opportunity for him. You know, this was a guy that ended up making it in the amateurs, had a good success, ended up being the captain of Team England in his amateur days. And yeah, man, he's been dealing with absolute, you know, just government problems now since he's 18 years old. They kept trying to deport him back to Nigeria when he represented them in the Olympics, going against his own country like Nigeria. They still wanted to deport him. But finally, just a couple years ago, doesn't have to be deported no more, which is absolutely amazing, man. This co-main event has so much on the line. But it was such an exciting fight the first time. You had Junaid Bostan boxing absolutely excellent from the outside for the first 3 rounds. Then come rounds 4, 5. Bilal Fawaz starts to put it on them. Absolutely ridiculous hooks. 6. Another close round. 7. Fawaz. 8. Junaid. It's just such a close fight and such an amazing action-packed fight You know, during it, Bilal Fawaz, every single time he clipped him, which I think was one of his problems, was every single time he clipped Judean Boston, he would celebrate or he would showboat. And I think he might have got himself tired from the showboating. He was hitting Judean and then going, ah, all right? Which is absolutely insane. But telling you guys right now, man, this co-main event for ARSLANBEK MAKHMUDOV versus David Allen is going to be absolutely amazing. The press conference, not the most exciting, but we know what we're going to get from David Allen. You know, he talked about saying that this is his heavyweight title fight, that he knows he's probably never going to get an actual heavyweight title shot, or he's not going to actually become the heavyweight champion of the world, right? But what he does know is that this fight against ARSLANBEK MAKHMUDOV is the biggest fight of his career, which can propel him to those stages.
Probably never be heavyweight champion of the world, but if I can beat this man to my left, people will say you are a top heavyweight, and that is all I want. So this is my world title fight Saturday. This is it for me, and when I'm in the mood, I'm a very hard man to shift.
So he was telling us during the press conference that this is his championship fight. And when I heard those words, I told myself, you know what? I think David Allen's going to get it done this week. ARSLANBEK MAKHMUDOV, don't get me wrong, I believe he was 18-0 before he faced his first loss to Ajit Kabirao, who Ajit is just absolutely ridiculous, bro. I have him highly up there with some of the best heavyweights in the world, okay? And since then, he's went 2-2, just coming off a knockout over Ricardo Brown. So this is going to be real interesting to see how he comes into this fight, my friends. We know the Russian bear wrestler is coming for the KO. He's a strong, crazy, straight, powerful person who is looking for action. And we all know who David Allen is, my friends. This fight and this press conference, we should be getting some absolute fireworks 2 days from now, my people. I'm out.